Before we go into themed entertainment as something that we focused on, what did Katapult do before then?
We started working on a lot of projects in cultural venues and attractions. So we were working with Quad, which was the arts centre. So we did all their branding, marketing, visual signage around the building, so all the wayfinding signage, and kind of worked with them on their kind of overarching kind of brand and visual identity and how that all manifested. And we were working with like venues, doing a lot of marketing, but it was like marketing for venues and attractions. And then we were also we had like a separate side of the business which we're kind of integrated, but the kind of B2B marketing. So more of the things we were doing was in the kind of marketing space. And then by 2008, we started working with a company back then called Pixolve. So they do all the photography, all the ride photography for all attractions around the world. And they'd gone through a buyout, and we worked with their owners based in Derby. So great, we kind of got a snapshot into this, where we started working with a lot of the attractions they were working on, looking at their being our background of visual media around photography, but then that linked into like the marketing, the integration of the guest experience. So we were coming up with what those photo opportunities were. And then we were starting to work with a lot of IPs because they were working with the IPs and the attractions. So we were getting to work with all the studios and the IPs that associate to that. And then this really opened up our world from it being, we're kind of in the UK, doing projects in the UK, to suddenly we were working on projects all around the world with those guys. And then out the back of that, we started building more and more relationships with people in the attraction and industry space, which opened up more kind of work in that area. Yeah, that was really fascinating for us. And it felt like it just really fitted with our skill set and kind of where our focus was. We kind of suddenly were travelling to these different places and the big IAPAs and things like that, attending those shows and kind of working alongside those guys.
Yeah, and I guess at that point it was an industry that we were doing bits in, and we dipped a toe in, but we were doing a lot of things to a lot of people, a lot of industries. Pixolve was a great client that gave us an opportunity to really step into that world. And it wasn't just, there was kind of design involved, but we were kind of expanding that into thinking about some of the guest experience, about the wider context of what they were putting into theme parks and attractions, in terms of how guests interacted with the park, and so the lens was kind of opening as our kind of project pipeline from there was opening, and we were like, we love this is really good. And through that, as you mentioned, working with operators and IPs and brands, we were then becoming, so trusted by IPs because we were going deep diving into brand immersion sessions. So we were, working across, all sorts of brands from Hasbro Patel and things like that. And suddenly we found we loved it. It kind of, ignited something that was there at the beginning.
Yeah, and I think at that point, I mean, you worked on the Harry Potter studio tour with doing the green screen for...
for the Leavesden Harry Potter studio tour in the UK.
Yeah, so we worked on that with Pixolve, and then they did the one in Burbank as well, which you worked on. That was working with all the green screen technology, and then you were working with the studio on the content and the footage that sat with that. And then we started working on some projects which were like doing the retail store for Thomas at Drayton Manor. So we did all that, the design of that, all the fit out of that. So with this, it's kind of like when you're running a business, sometimes you start doing things out of necessity, like you need to survive, and then you start doing things where there's opportunity and opportunities present themselves, and you go, "Oh, that's amazing!" You step into the opportunity, and then I think what feeds off that is then you start other opportunities present themselves. So I think it was quite exciting mixing our love of travel with new markets and being able to step into those markets, and that was quite exciting, being able to do those sort of projects where we're doing things outside of like a core. And it's mad to think that now like 80% of our work is global. So when you think like where we started to the kind of range we meet now, the more we focused, obviously we had a more of a focus in where we were working, but meant we worked more globally because we were able to differentiate that.
All this was happening, this kind of realization around the point where the business had grown quite well, and we were in a big team, still doing a lot of things with a lot of people. But in terms of future planning and what our kind of goals for growth and what the vision is for the business, it wasn't defined, it wasn't sharp. And that aligned obviously with you going on maternity and then coming back.
Yeah, that to me was the perspective shift that I had. So you go through like building business and we were doing all the things we were doing, and sometimes you need to kind of take a step back, or something happen which makes your perspective on things change. And I had that moment where having, you know, being off on maternity, taking that kind of 9 months out of the business. I wasn't fully out because as a business owner, you're still kind of involved with some of the kind of overseeing, but generally I was like, I had a step back. And then I had that a major incident happen in my personal life where my husband had a cardiac arrest, and I kind of came his carer for a period of time where I recovered from that, and he amazingly recovered. But it really kind of like shifted my lens of, if I'm going to spend time at work away from my family and my new daughter, I have to love it. Taking that step back and step back in, I saw that there were things we were trying to do too much, too many places, like there was issues, but how do we fix this? And so coming back into the business after maternity, we implemented the entrepreneurial operating system and able to kind of really look at like our core focus and where we put our energy, where we put our effort. And we were able to kind of split off the B2B marketing side of the business into a separate brand. And then Katapult was able to purely focus on, we design things, attractions and experiences, singly focused on that. And then from that moment on, when we made that split, it was just like we did that. It was just like...
That felt more like a brave moment.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about, I remember being stood in the car park with you and going, a lot of projects, a lot of pipeline, and we were like, this, we know it's not right. And when you mentioned then about you want to have a business that you love, that's why we started it.
Yeah.
But through growth, you know, through necessity and growing the team and kind of sort of feeding the beast, we kind of got to where we were. But suddenly, like, actually, was this the plan? What do we want to do? And we kind of knew it was right. We went through this, but stood in the car park, sort of having that moment where it's like,
right,
we're going to have to basically break up with loads of clients or carve it out, and you know, this could absolutely fly, and we know it's right, and we love it, and we were just so excited. But this if it doesn't work, it's, you know, it's bye-bye, you know, and we kind of go off and try and find a job with working for someone else. But ever since that moment, you know, I think we've just had more. We've had the excitement that we had in the first place, which is that fire in your belly, that love for what we do, that love for really understanding the vision and the focus of the business, attracting great team, you know, everything that comes with that, implementing a plan, really tapping into the relationships that we already had, but because we were this broad thing, we weren't focused. So tapping into all the great relationships we already had, but we hadn't really kind of capitalized on them.
Yeah.
And that was a big kind of turning point for us.
And the best as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you talked about being brave, like starting business brave, but actually when you're halfway through and you've got a team of people and you've got family, you've got responsibility, actually making that pivot at that point, we did literally look at them, well, this could be the best thing we ever do. It could break us or make us.
Yeah, we had little to lose in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, whereas we, you know, families, kids, you know, we got a home here and the building and the team. It was a big kind of scary moment.
But I think we had perspective. I was like, this has got to feel right. And why would you create something and be part of something that you didn't love and it wasn't working, and there was issues and you were trying to, it's like, what's it? And then we were able to boil down to the focus. We need to be really clear. And then with the moment we made that switch.
It took a while to get there.
Yeah.
Lots of sessions of like going,
But
something's not
I
right.
think we handled it really well, because it was like, it didn't just suddenly go, we're doing that. It was like, we did it in a way that I felt was responsible and respectful. It was like, we went through the process in a way that the data presented itself to us, and we did it in a way which I can hold up and say, I think we handled it in a decent human way of like how you resolve those situations. And from that moment on, it's been brilliant.
It's been like rocket fuel. It's just in terms of our love for it, you know. It wasn't like, oh, this is why we loved it. It was like, oh my God, we love this. You know, absolutely love this. And we suddenly focus on the business, but focus for each other in terms of we can we can do this together, attracting the right team, sharpening our kind of profile within the industry. Yeah, it really worked.
Yeah.
So, well, it's really working.
Did it give you more validation than the Prince's Trust meeting Richard Branson when you made that step change and said, we're going to focus here?
I think as we started to implement the plan, but also when we started to convert projects and love them, you know, and excite the team, that's when the real kind of excitement and energy, that there's probably those first few moments where we're like, yeah, we made the right decision here. This is going to work.
And what was that first project that you thought, wow, this is what we want?
So I think we were working with Lego and Merlin on a big kind of global project.
Yeah, Discovery Centre project.
We were working on some projects there. We were working on
with Turner and Cartoon Network.
Yeah, where we worked on a project overseas, which was the full design from beginning to end of a family entertainment centre, which was great. So there was a couple of kind of biggish projects back then for us, which were like, we could see it from beginning all the way through, and we could talk about them. So I think that's the thing, because before that point, there was loads of projects we were working on. We were in the supply chain,
yeah, we were,
and we couldn't say we worked on this, we worked on that. And this is obviously a thing that happens a lot in India. I guess it was a couple of projects where we were able to say, we did this.
What did they teach you from those early projects that were one that's kind of stuck and has continued into today?
Finding the right partners to work with.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the key things, because we know where we start and stop. I think all those projects relied on finding the right partners to work with, and the right people to collaborate with. And I think it's helped us implement process and grow our network to find, you know, partners that we trust.
I also think that we didn't realise until you get someone to look at it externally and you get people to come in, how much, as a business, for fairly, you know, we're a small business ultimately, how much process and how responsibly we run our business, and how, for the size and scale that we are, is that people go, oh God, you've got all these things in place. For us, it just meant, it felt logical. Of course you've got those things in place. Why wouldn't you have those things in place? But then speaking to businesses that are larger, or you'd think had all that stuff together, looking at us going, God, you do that, that and this. And we were like, because for us, we didn't have that benchmark of, we've sat in a business and seen how they've done it. We're going, well, what makes sense? This is what you should do in a business.
And what do we need?
And what processes, how do we put in great processes? How do we put in great rhythm to the business and how we communicate? We've always been part of a collective. We've always been part of a group of people. It's not about me and Phil just doing what we do. It's about a group of people doing it together. And I'm so proud that, like, we've, 25 years in, that collective and collaborative spirit is still very much the essence of Katapult. Everyone brings their thing. I am amazed daily by the team and the things they come out with, and it's just the hunger, the appetite, and that's because we've attracted people into that, and we give them room to do that. So not us dictating what needs to happen, it's bringing that out, and then we work with clients and other suppliers, and we have this like collaborative approach which brings out the best work and the best ways of thinking. And when we get people who join the team, I think one of the satisfying things is they join the team and they, the first few months are going, oh my God, you are like that, and you do all the things, and being known as somebody who looks after its people and does is something that means a lot.
And talk to me more about the culture,
Yeah.
because that's obviously, it's not just the processes, it's not just the things we have in place, it's the culture that's probably driven the growth of the company, but also the growth of the team as well.
Culture is lived and breathed. It is what you experience. And what was really nice was, like, I think we had one of our quarterly meetings where everyone was in the building, and Anthony, who's a long-term friend, one of the original co-founders of Katapult in its original form back in the day, he lives in Berlin now, and he came over to our offices, and all the team were in the office, and we were having our quarterly session. And he pulled me aside at the end of the day. He goes, Dawn, I just want to say, like, the energy of this team and what you've built here, the culture is, you can feel it. It's insane. It's amazing. You must be so proud. And I was like, oh yeah, we are. But him coming in and coming back to it and seeing it, however much we could say, people feel it and they experience it. And that is through us living true to what we say we want to be as a company. It's with intent, but we're always very self-critical about what we need to change and what we need to do and what works, what doesn't work. I think we never feel like we've cracked it. In the face of big things happening, COVID, economic change. It's how you act and respond in those situations is a test of your leadership. It's a test of your culture. And I hope that when those things have happened, we've stood up to being human, clear communicators, try to, hold things the best we can and just try and work those things through in a way that you'd expect and hope to be those kind of work through and as a team, as a group of people.
Carrying on with that personable thought, how has being parents shaped how you've run the business?
Good question. I think you're supposed to grow up a little bit more and become more responsible. There's a lot more pressure. Like I talk about when we first set the business up, we had nothing to lose, and we were just loving. We're in the moment. We've got not just I've got 4 kids and a wife to support and a family unit at home to try and create balance. Which obviously comes down to the culture that we create to be able to support them in the way the way they need it, but also support the business. But yeah, we've got the team to support as well.
I think that as you become a parent, you've got this other level of responsibility, and you're grounded in a responsibility, and you're also thinking about how I spend my time, and also respectful of how the team spend their time. And we very much kind of go by family first, which sounds obvious, but we have to, for us and for the team, we have to place that emphasis around looking after each other and making sure people are cared for in that way. What does it actually mean in reality, and making sure that we're trying to live true to that. And so I think that, it does kind of change your perspective when you're spending time away from your family, especially because, we travel a little bit with work. There's things where I'm away from, my daughter, who's like, why are you going away? And what's the reason for that? And I hope that, being able to show that you work in a job that you enjoy is a good role modelling. And obviously I try and get the balance. We do get balance in the sense of that I have some boundaries, and I think setting boundaries is really important.
And that's for everyone in the team. We're respectful of the work-life balance.
How have you both changed as leaders over the years?
I'd like to say I'm a lot more focused and organised. I think I am. I think I am able to. I understand where my value is best spent, and a lot of that is through, as I said, sort of growing relationships. Being out in the industry, being inspired, meeting like-minded business owners, partners, collaborators, looking for opportunities in the market, looking at trends and the future vision of the industry, help shaping that, and like I think similar to you.
Yeah, leadership is more like we're going this is the direction, this is where we're heading, and this is where we can spend our time. And I think the more experience you have over time, you realise you trust your judgment. You can know when something's not quite working, what's not quite right. And I think it's really kind of like working together as a team and addressing stuff and going, okay, this is, and kind of asking ourselves the questions and being okay to sit in that conversation of like, is this right? Is this not right? Where are we going? What's this right? This worked. And just this constant cycle of reflection, having a leadership team of people that we can discuss and be really candid and open and comfortable. And I think building that trust with a group of people where you can have those conversations, they're difficult, they're challenging, and when things arise, how do we deal with it? I'm really proud of how we deal through issues, because ultimately, and I think this comes back to me having perspective, when something massive happens to your life, where a big significant personal incident happens, I suddenly found that stuff at work was just stuff we can figure out. Like in the grand scheme of everything else, it's just stuff we can figure out. And once I got that perspective, I was like, oh, cool, we can just figure this out. Like if there's an issue, we can figure it out. If there's something we need to go for, we can go for it. And if we learn from it, or what did we learn? And I just see it as like this great opportunity. And that's where I sometimes feel like we're only just getting started. It always feels like we're only just getting started.
Yeah, we still have that same mentality of excitement. It feels like we're just getting going.
Yeah,
we feel like we're still the youngsters, but it feels like we're fresh and we're we're ready, and we're constantly looking for new ways of exciting the team, doing exciting projects.
I love finding opportunities where you go, this person, that person, oh, we can work together, and you go, that's what I love. The partnerships, the opportunities, the collaboration, that's what feeds me. It's like seeing this and seeing that and going, oh, we can bring that. And I think what's really exciting for where we're going, which I know you'll come to, is how we're starting to be really like making things come into the world, and like seeing those opportunities, and those opportunities being a gift to be able to work on those, being trusted by our clients that we work with, and those collaborators that we work with. It's just, it's a great feeling to be able to work, and we're privileged to be working on the projects that we get to work on.
And what's that like with having a setup that you've created, but then working on projects with brands like Lego and Ferrari and other global IPs? What's it like to look from a helicopter's perspective and see the company that you've created is doing all of that?
It's an absolute privilege, one, to be working with that brand, to be able to translate that into the world of themed entertainment and work alongside them and understanding and learning. And they are, creative, like great teams to work with. And you're coming at it from like a story and an IP and what that means for them into the operations side of things and how that logistically manifests itself. I think that we've always been really kind of like enjoyed working in the IP space of like looking after that and being able to hold that and being able to translate it into themed entertainment has been kind of a pretty much sweet spot for us. And again, it's all about the people you get to work with.
Yeah, and it stems from relationships. So all the if you list off the IPs, and the brands that we work with, take a step back, it is quite, it's an amazing list, and we are, privileged to be able to and to be trusted to be able to, develop experiences with these brands and IPs. But it's down to the relationships that we've built, and that's with the IP, but also with our team. I trust our team. It's always a challenge. There's always a problem to solve, and there's always curveballs along the way. But that's where we thrive. That's where we collaborate and we find new ways, and we're not just kind of recycling old ways of doing things. And that's the excitement. That's what kind of keeps us thriving and growing.
When you look back over the last 25 years, what are you most proud of in terms of the journey that you've taken and where we are now?
Part of me is really proud that, 25 years, that's mad.
Quarter of a century.
I know, but I don't know.
We've worked more in Katapult than we haven't.
Yeah, which is true, without saying our age. I sometimes joke to people that I started when I was 8. The child prodigy. But I think, I think it's probably a stat like 10% of businesses will make it to 25 years. That's an achievement, I think. Because, as I say, we've been through and evolved through different circumstances. We've been adaptable to change. We've been agile. We've been responsive. We've not rested on our laurels. We've always kind of had this insatiate appetite that we've yet to do the thing. We're always pushing ourselves. So I think that to have be built something that we're still, enjoying and evolving and seeing new opportunities and seeing the team enjoy that and the work that we're delivering with our clients and collaborators, I think that's something that I'm just really proud of. And I'm super proud when you open as something you've worked on and been able to take your friends and family to go see something that you've helped bring into the world. I don't think you can beat that. I don't
know about you, but I love it more now than I ever have done. And that's, it's a big beast. It's a lot of responsibility, but
yeah, I think it's. But when you look at sort of the industry and the size, I still feel we're quite not big.
Small fish, big pond.
Yeah.
What would you say to your 18-year-old self?
Go with your gut. Surround yourself with good people and make good decisions.
Always ask questions.
Yeah. Don't stop wanting to, achieve more and grow and be curious about the world around you.
Yeah, follow your heart, and enjoy what you do. Is what my parents said to me: follow what you enjoy.